Hi, I'm Kaja.
And I'm Joanna.
And this is Starlit Citadel Reviews.
One Night Ultimate Werewolf is a new spin on a classic party game from Ted Alspach and Akihisa Okui and Bezier Games.
In One Night, players are villagers with werewolves hidden among them who must survive one deadly night. It supports from 3 to 10 players and lasts about 10 minutes.
Players begin one night by choosing a number of roll cards equal to the number of players plus 3, and then placing the tokens corresponding to those cards face up in the middle of the table. The cards are shuffled, and one is dealt face down to each of the players. The remaining 3 cards are placed face down in the center of the table. The tokens are arranged to indicate player order, and players look at their cards. Then the game begins.
A game of One Night consists of a single night phase, in which players with certain roles can act, and a day phase in which the players vote on who to hang as a werewolf. The players are divided into 2 teams, villagers and werewolves. So during the night phase, one player acts as the announcer and indicates which role gets to act at which time.
All players close their eyes. The doppelganger may look at one other player's card and copy that role for the duration of the game. If the role that they've copied has a night action, they take it immediately.
Next, the werewolves open their eyes and note who else is a werewolf. Then they close their eyes and put up their thumbs, and the minion wakes up and sees who the werewolves are. Now the minion is on the werewolves team, while the other humans are on the villager team. Next, the masons open their eyes and spot each other.
The seer may either look at one other player's card or 2 of the cards in the center of the table. The robber may swap their card with the card of another player. They become a part of the team that their new card belongs to, but do not take its action. Next, the troublemaker may swap the cards of 2 other players without looking at them.
The drunk must swap their card with one from the center of the table without looking at it. They belong to the team on their new card. Finally, the insomniac wakes up and may check their own card to see if it's changed. Then everyone opens their eyes.
During the day phase, the players must decide who to hang for being a werewolf. Players can lie, haggle, and say anything they'd like, but cannot show their card to anyone else. After a few minutes of discussion, players vote on who to hang by simultaneously pointing to their target on a count of 3.
Now, several roles don't have night phase actions. The villager has no special abilities, but is definitely not a werewolf. If the hunter dies during the final vote, whoever they're pointing at dies as well. The tanner is a villager, but has alternate win conditions. They hate their job and want to die, and they can only win the game if they manage to get themselves killed in the vote.
The player with the most votes dies and must reveal their role. If there's a tie for votes, then all tied players die and must reveal their cards. If no player receives more than 1 vote, then nobody dies. The villagers win if a werewolf dies, or if nobody dies and there are no werewolves at the table. The werewolves win if there's at least 1 werewolf in the game and a werewolf is not killed.
So I really like One Night Ultimate Werewolf. I've been a big fan of the Werewolf series for a while, and I feel like this version is the purest distillation of the game into its absolute essence. I love the fact that there's only 1 negotiation that happens. That 1 single day phase means there's so much weight resting on your decisions. The negotiation is so much more dramatic and intense because everybody knows that the entire game is resting on this 1 single decision point. And the fact that there's only been 1 night before it means that nobody really has enough information to be able to be absolutely certain of their choice. So there's this great sense of tension and uncertainty and chaos to it that is just so much fun to play. This also eliminates one of the biggest weaknesses of Werewolf in the past, which is mid-game player elimination. There's only 1 person who gets eliminated in one night, and the game ends immediately after that's happened. So if you get eliminated, you're just going to play the game right over again, and it's a really, really nice change to the pacing. This game also has the first app that I would completely unreservedly recommend. all it really does is take over the role of the announcer during the night phase, which is great because that's a role that's often really convoluted to perform in that you can't actually be looking at what you're doing, but you either have to memorize everything or you have to read it off a sheet. And having an app do that for you just simplifies things completely, takes the pressure off of one person. And what it also does is it plays some nice kind of ambient, spooky background noise during the night phase. So any incidental sounds that are produced by, say, a troublemaker switching two cards don't get heard by the other players, and you keep your secrets just that much more secret. It's really useful, it's free, and it's a really nice addition to the game that shows just how thoughtfully the whole thing was put together. The one issue with this game, because of that single intense negotiation, and because of the fact that nobody is really certain of what's going on, is that a really strong personality can take things over a little bit, and there can be some bullying that happens especially if you've got a mixed group where some of your players are younger or less experienced, and you've got other people that are more confident or maybe a little bit overbearing. You might just have to work a little bit harder to make the newer players feel like they're an important part of the decision making, and this is really just a group dynamic that has to be managed a little bit.
So another challenge to this game is that some of the roles are a little bit less interesting than others, so you could end up getting stuck with a role where you don't really have very much to do, so that's too bad. Also, there are actually some roles that are quite challenging in this game. So if you're a new player to the game and you end up getting a role that's got a little bit more effort required in terms of role play or in terms of action, and you're not really aware of what all of the different roles do, then you might be a little bit lost. So you're gonna have to play a few times before you really get a handle on what everybody does and how your role fits with that. That being said, though, I am also a really big fan of this game. I love Werewolf in all of its variants, and this one does the game very, very well. I love the roles that have been chosen for this game and the variety in them. Some of them I recognize from other versions, some of them I don't, and they're kind of new and very interesting. There's something in this game for everyone, it seems. Also, the theme and the components are really nice. The art is silly and funny and bright and vibrant, and the components are really tough. These games are quite quick, so every 10 minutes if you're playing for an evening, you're going to be handling those cards again, passing them around. They need to be quite robust, and they are, which is fantastic. I often end up in a group of people who enjoy this kind of game with the strong roleplay elements and the quick turnaround. And I think that this game is going to get a lot of play at my table, and you should definitely try it out if you're a fan of any of those sort of large group party games that have that quick feel to them. I think you'll really enjoy this.